So as young people, as young persons, we've all had experiences, we've all had moments that tested us, moments that almost broke us, but that something kept us standing, something kept us standing. And today we're going to be looking into the story of one person here, who of course, he has also been through an experience that you might be able to relate with, but that he was able to navigate with, in some sort of way. And so we are going to be hearing the story soon enough. And so what do we have here?
Hi there, my name is Samson or Akintokun. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yeah,
What does
glad to hear.
Samson do?
Samson is an MC. I host corporate and social events. I'm also a voiceover artist. But aside that, I have experience spanning human resources, operations, and marketing.
That's a big CV out there. Wonderful. So what's your story? What's that experience that you had that tried you, an experience that tested you, that maybe almost broke you, but you were able to pull through in some sort of way?
Okay, so I have a thick skin. So and the way I live life, I'm always like, what's next, right? So, but I've had a couple of experiences. One from grades, really, and another with people I was working with, and then at a point I was relieved of my duties. But when it comes to my grades, I would say that there was a particular exam that I wrote and I had a 40 for someone who has really good grades when it comes to exams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that really sent my grades spiraling down and it was really bad.
So it's
Right. Yeah, it was
depressing.
really bad at that point in time. And also from the other experience where I was relieved of a role, right? It was quite sudden, right? It was quite sudden. And also, I got to hear some things outside that I was like, nah, if at all anybody who would consider me is our friend, you could have communicated this with me instead of, sharing it with people outside first off, right? If you thought anything was wrong, right? If you thought I was lagging behind in my duties, talk to me first and we'll be good, right? Yeah. And also because at that point in time, I was going through some personal stuff. So, you know,
That
yeah.
must have been difficult on you.
Yeah, it was difficult at first, but at the same time, when you get to realize that, life really continues. Like sometimes people don't really care about you that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
People don't really care about you that much. And while you might hold someone in high esteem, the person might not hold you in high
Return the
esteem.
favor.
So you need to learn to, put people in appropriate places and move on with your life.
Wow. So talking about your grades first, you mentioned the fact that you had a score that definitely is not typical of you, and it sent your grades spiraling
A
down.
40E.
40. would you blame that? Would you say that maybe your preparations or something might have had an influence
So
of that?
I think my preparations might have had I might have had a hand in that, right? In the sense of where at that point in time, that was my first writing course, and aside to that, it was basically based on the fact that I prepared. I would not say I didn't prepare. I really prepared. Maybe my preparation was not in the best of phase, but I think I collected an extra sheet. Very funny thing.
Wow.
but at the same time, you realize that in the long run, right? It matters because when your CGPA is being calculated, right? That's a dip sink, right? But yeah, you just find out that sometimes I had my own part to play, but at the same time, that thing where you're feeling like, oh, there's a foul play here. But then what do? We have to move on. I don't believe too much. You can dwell on things. Sometimes you never heal from certain things, right? But you just learn to adapt and move on with life.
So maybe you've not healed from that.
Maybe I've not healed from that. I don't think I might have healed, but I don't think my CGPA healed.
Actually, there's that. Okay. Did that not in some sort of way discourage you moving forward from, maybe you see that, okay, I mean, many times for students, when you prepare for an exam, when you believe you did well in something, you did the exam pretty well, you studied well, when you wrote, you collected an extra sheet, and then at the end of everything, you are getting a score that does not look like what you did. I mean, sometimes that would want to discourage you moving forward. Maybe might want to discourage you moving forward. Like, okay, what's the essence? If after all the preparations, these are the things that happen. What's the essence of studying? And maybe that is going to, I mean, lower your preparations and everything. Did that happen to you?
No, it actually, I think that score made me sit up more.
Wow.
That score made me sit up more. Really, it put me in a position where I was like, you know what, this is not going to happen again. Though as something of similar thing happened, yes, but you just look at the fact that nah, never, because it puts you in a position where you're like, oh yeah, truly, there's a place where you can blame the system, right? But there's a part where you have to find out that, oh yes, I also had a part in this. Because even though you're having 40E, there are people who are having 87A, 90A. So you have to also look at it that, oh, what am I doing wrong? Right? So when you come at it from the angle of what am I doing wrong, it puts you in that phase where you're like, oh yeah, maybe I didn't actually prepare as much for this, right? Maybe you just have to think of a lot of maybes, right? But at the end of the day, you can think of a lot of maybe you prepare, and then at the end of the day, you just pray that God, at this end of the day, just help me. I just want to finish.
Actually, it gets to that stage. Mark Twain said something. Actually, Mark Twain said that there are 1,000 excuses for failure.
Yes.
But never a good reason. That is, you can just always find out reasons, excuses. Let me use the word excuses as to why something did not happen, why something did not work out. But at long run, when you look at everything, you realize that none of these things is actually enough reason. I mean, they are just excuses. Maybe they are just ways. Just like you said, there are some people who score 80s, 90s without doing illegal stuff and anything. So what exactly did they do right? How did they get that right? Whereas, others are not getting exactly that. So I think I might be able to, that's what I would have to say about that. Then talking about, the other events you mentioned. Yeah. That sounds sad, kind of.
Yeah, it can be sad when when you've done a lot of work, like underground, when you're doing restructuring, when you are ensuring that systems are put in place that would even outlive you, systems that are even being used now, right? Even when you've left that place, right? But in the long run, what it does to you, it makes you see that, it makes you realize that work is work. It makes you realize that you have to be very smart. It makes you realize that you are not to let your guard down. It makes you realize that you have to be in a state of where you not see. One thing with work is this: nobody's your friend, right? Truly, you can meet friends. You can meet even people who become family, right? But you have to actually learn to distinguish that, and sometimes you have to learn that you have to be very selfish, right? Selfish that you put yourself first. Selfish that even if anything you are doing, you are putting out there that this is what I'm doing, right? So it's a two-way street, right? You have to be selfish. You have to make much noise. So even if you are doing a lot of work, even if you are doing restructuring, you're doing some things, right? Don't do it underground. Don't be active and you are just behind the curtains. Be active and be loud about your activeness, because people who do not know what your work entails would sometimes want to tell you how to do your work, right? Even though they might have some insight on, oh, they might be right. Oh, you can do this better in this way, right? But at the same time, it is not their work. It is not their field, right? So you want to be sure that you are ensuring that you are putting things in place, and you're ensuring that people are knowing that I'm doing this, I'm putting this in place, so that at the end of the day, they don't have to say that, oh, you are not doing your work. Why? Meanwhile, they don't know what your work is. So you want to be very vocal.
Let them see
you want
the
to be very
evidence.
vocal. That's the word about what you're doing. So yeah, it just puts you in a place where, you are very, you don't do things from when it comes to work, you don't live from, oh, this is my people, these are my people. You have to, of course, some of them are going to be your people. You have to, at the same time, you have to be very wise. Now, I don't mix business with pleasure anymore. My business is business. You get me paid and I leave this place. Like, do you get what I'm saying? That's how I work now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. At that stage, did you feel like they wrote you off? Maybe.
At the initial stage, it was really painful, right? I would never say that it wasn't. It was really painful because you feel like, this is something you've done. You're giving your most best to, right? Even though you were at some lows, at certain point in time, you did your best, right? But the truth of the matter is this: at the end of the day, nobody really cares. There are only very few people that cares. Do you get? So you find out that once the table, sometimes I think when the table's turn, what would pain you the most would not be would not be would not be exactly what has happened, but people's response to what has happened. Then you find out that people who you thought were friends now keep their distance from you, right? And that would even take me to a point where something happened with a particular friend way back. I think that was sometime in 2025, right? So I was fighting for this person behind the person's back, but this person didn't even know. By the end of the day, we had to let the person go, right? And people were actively pushing for this person to go. To the person, they still seemed like good people, but because I was there at that point in time, and this person did not know the fight I was fighting and the calls I was trying to make to ensure that person stayed, right? So do you get? So sometimes also it could have been that way. It could have you're left in a particular middle, right? You're left in a particular middle, but at the end, you just have to pick lessons that would work best for you. You just have to pick, oh, this is what I'm doing onward, this is what I'm not doing anymore, and you move on, right?
So what would you say, beautiful, what would you say about, when you put your best, you give your best to something, to a cause, to your job, for example, you give your everything, you know for a fact that you've actually given your best, you've given the best thing this person or this, set of people can get, and then eventually you end up being sidelined. And then you realize that, they eventually settle for those who do not even bear the same thing with as much energy as you do or as you did. How does it feel like?
So it's going to be painful. You're going to feel pained, right? But I think at the end of the day, what you really want to do is this: is it you pick your lessons. I'll tell anybody that life is short, one, and then life is long, right? Life is short in the sense that all we have of life is there are fleeting moments, right? Over time, life keeps going. Like life doesn't stop, right? But life is long in the sense of where you are going to live a long life, God willing, right? So you want to come from it from the angle of you're ready to keep moving. So you're going to feel hot, right? You might not even recover from it easily. But what you want to do is this: that doesn't define the entirety of your being. So I think we need as young people to move from the point where what we do defines our being. What we do a lot of time has a place in defining us, right? But we need to move from now letting only what we do define us, right? We want to come to a point where, aside the social status, aside the work, you have a healthy self-esteem. Do you get what I'm saying? Your life continues outside of those things. So you're not just building a career. Let's say you're building a career as a writer. So everything that you are now, or that you see as your entire being, is now a writer. Do you get? So I'll tell you, have a life outside whatever it is you're doing for work.
So more or less, it's like there's a difference between who you are and what you are.
Yes.
So what you are should not interfere, should not affect your identity as a person.
Who you are should affect your identity. Should affect what you are, right? But at the end of the day, what you are should not now affect who you are. There's a fine balance. I just hope, like, whatever, at the end of the day, you are able to pick, because it's easy for me to say right now, but I'll say that at the end of the day, what is more pivotal is for you to actually dissect these things and put it in you context, right? You have to put it in you context. So when you put it in you context, it helps you.
Beautiful. Top words, actually. I would like to know, for young persons like us out there, how do we understand when a relationship is no longer what it's meant to be, when it's become toxic? How do we understand that, okay, a relationship is no longer there? That what a certain relationship that we've always, held in high esteem is no longer what it used to be. It's now toxic. It's now not, how exactly do we identify that a
So
relationship
so
is not,
so no, the relationship might not necessarily be toxic.
but it's probably not safe anymore?
It's not probably not safe anymore. It's
Mm.
probably not what you expect it to be anymore. It's possibly not what what you used to see it to be. Right?
To be.
Would be that there will be signs. See, like there's this particular slang or this particular word that there will be signs, right? It will be from the fact that. So I'm gonna say when you're trying when you see that maybe there's a distance and you're trying to bridge the gap, you're reaching out to this person that what's up, what's happening, like, and sometimes maybe you apologize once, you apologize twice, and this person is not even willing to hear you anymore, right? This person is giving you cold shoulders. Just at the point, really, just let it go. That's why I would say that do not let your life be hinged on those unjust relationships. Like I would say that be self-sufficient, right? In the sense that truly you need people, but at the same time, if somebody says, "Bah, remove," do you get? Because but it might be painful because sometimes you might have planned your whole life, so you might be
Actually.
like, "Oh yeah, yeah." Like when I have kids, this would be somebody that I can drop my kids with. This would be somebody that I would like to have in my house when I'm married. This is somebody I would like to do a friend's cookout with party with. Or maybe we want to go to the beach. Let's travel together. You might have gone so far in thinking of that, right? But when it happens, you also realize that one of my mentors said, big shout out to Onkwayo. One thing Onkwayo said, while I was a lot younger, right? I think I was in my 11, 12 or teenage years at that time. They said some friendships are for a season and some friendships are for a reason. So you have to now pick that, I think this is the particular season that this friendship was in for. A good example was people we were in secondary school with those people. It was for a season, right? There are some people who, when you leave university, you might never come in contact with again for like the better part of your years.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some people who they are in your life for specific reasons. So some people will be there in your life to teach you that, see, you have to, when it comes to a certain point in life, you have to be very selfish about yourself, right? But some people will be in your life for a long time, for seasons, right? Some people will be there, come rain, come sunshine. Some people will be there, only come rain.
Some people
Don't see. It's very. I was having a conversation with a friend a while ago, and then we were talking about something, and then we just mentioned something that this person is in love with the idea of you being up there, right? This person is in idea with I know a business person who is doing well. I know a creative who is doing well. I have connections with this person, but the person is in love with the idea of 100% life. But the truth of the matter is nobody's 100%. We are all lacking in one area or the other, right? So when this person gets close and this person sees that, it seems like this person's communication is not good. This person sometimes finds a way to switch. Do you get what I'm saying? And the truth of the matter is you would always come into contact with people and people have different characters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get? So sometimes you'll be able to spell it out that this person is like this. So let's say observe. You have to learn to observe. But sometimes you might not even be able to observe. You might be so in love with this person. Not in love. You get what I'm saying? You might be in love with this person. Like you are like, oh yes, I like this person. This person is my person. Right? But this person might not be in love with your person. Right? This person might just be in love with the idea of your person. So you have to learn to distinguish, right? And you have to learn to not just make single situation, like getting wins can sometimes power you to feel like, yes, you are doing this here, you are doing this. You can feel, you get what I'm saying? It can make you feel, yes, I'm here. But at the same time, you also learn that you are not, that's why I say you have to distill who you are from what you are.
Finally, what would you like to tell people or say to people who recently just lost a relationship that meant a lot to them and they just lost it? So what would you like to tell them?
Well, that relationship doesn't sum up the entirety of who you are. In life, we lose some and we gain some. So I think it would be for you to just, it might be hard to do. It might be hard. Just move. Get busy, get some other things doing, just move. And that's why I would say that in everything, aside God, don't let anybody be the entirety of your existence. Like, the person can die at any point in time. People can die, people can move on, people can decide to, say, we're not continuing with this, right? So just make God the entirety of your existence, and also realize that at one point or the other, some people are going to be in your life, and when it gets to the time for them to exit, they will exit. So they are not permanent friends, they are not permanent enemies.
Beautiful.
It's a word they use in politics.
Beautiful word.
Enjoy it.
That was nice. Thank you so much, Samson.
You're welcome.
And that's what we're calling to wrap for today, guys.
Yeah.
Just take what you need from the conversation and leave the rest. Till the next time that we see or meet or whatever, we know later.